Hello, everyone. Let us start with another lecture on the Indian National Congress, the early phase in which we are talking about. In the last lecture, we dealt with the very important idea that what is called economic critique to colonialism. And let us also see that why it is so pertinent to talk about press freedom. uh, you know, in this course called MOOC Swayam Nationalism and Constitutional Growth in India, 1858 to 1920. This is Parvez Alam from Department of Political Science, Aligarh Muslim University. The idea of press freedom is very important, uh, idea or within the uh, gamut of rights that what we call it civil and political rights. The idea uh, to express, idea to have an opinion and to communicate that opinion, to generate in the favor of the idea the support of the masses. And the you know uh, modern society have come up with this, the propagation of ideas on a massive scale only through that what we call it press. Now the printing press, for an example, by the advent of printing press, that what we call it the Gutenberg revolution, the printing press, through which people were opinionating on important issues and circulating either pamphlet or their writings to the general masses, so that people may acquainted with the problems of others as well as the problem of their own. And this was important in a way in India also, because there is a rampant economic exploitation and the colonialism, and this nationalist leaders, they wanted to overthrow the British rule, and for that they required concerted communication, and for that press freedom was very important. Also, uh, it was not quite natural to provide press freedom to the Indian masses, because when in 1885 International Congress got established, prior to that, either Raja Ram Mohan Roy, to many others who came up with this propagation of literature and writing into the newspapers and also circulating independent pamphlets. British Raj was in fact sensing certain kind of conspiracy through this propagation of literature, and hence banning it. So, to some extent, the fight to secure press freedom was important from the perspective of early nationalism. So we will be dealing with this question in this half an hour segment. So let us start now. As I said that. Uh, there is this historical perspective which attracted Indian masses and also nationalist leaders towards civil rights and especially press freedom. uh, and in fact they were very much aware about the value and also utility of press freedom, the freedom to write and freedom to circulate, their writings. And because British rulers, they sensed that revolt of 1857 had to do something with that conspiracy, and and in fact, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan in Causes of Revolt of 1857, in fact, highlighted that there was no such conspiracy because the revolt was, at one time, at one place, other time, other place. And in that sense, if there was any kind of, communication, that was not through press, that was not through the support of any other foreign rulers. I mean, it has to do something with people related their issues and problems and also exploitation with the others, and hence they supported the cause. So, so I mean, the very restriction against the press freedom was already there, was already into the air. So, Raja Ram Mohan Rai was the first, in a way, person to, protest against press restrictions. Now, if we see the phase that how press became a political tool, and how there is a contestation between British rulers and nationalist leaders, from restrictions on one hand by the British ruler to asking for more freedom for the press from the nationalist side. This struggle, this contestation is very intense. 1870 onwards, if we see, because starting from many of the press, many of the newspapers, like I will come to highlight some of the newspapers in the later part, but Kesari, for an example, uh, you know, which in a way became the Marathi newspaper, Kesari, and Maharatna, which became a very, very prominent, newspaper of the national movement. So these newspapers, these journals, they were utilized, for politicization, for using that platform as the propagation of propaganda, and also educating the masses, educating about reforms, educating about idea of equality, educating about freedom, educating about liberation and emancipation, and of course their suffering. So, in a way, Indian National Congress relied heavily on press, even by printing their issues, their resolutions of the International Congress's annual sessions and also proceedings, so that general masses will be aware about that what Congress actually discussed in their annual sessions. So in a way, that was the uh, prime communicator. Newspaper was the prime communicator, and because of the also uh, vernacular press, particularly the press in the language of the masses, that in a way was also one of the important kind of tool, where people were not only writing about the issues in Hindi or English, which was a kind of the language spoken by the majority. I mean, majority in the sense that the majority of the English people, as well as the educated elite, and also Hindi to some extent. But it was the Tamil newspaper like Swadeshi Mitran, or Bengali newspaper like Bengali. So from Bengali to Tamil, to Malayalam, to Marathi, to various other newspapers, who ultimately, in a way, were used as a political tool, and the very foundation of the Indian National Congress saw that it was actually the journalists who became part of the Indian National Congress, who in fact became the founding fathers, and majority of them were basically belonging from the profession called journalism. So, moving ahead, if we see, that what were the newspapers which were started, in 1870s, particularly. There were pioneering newspapers, and also journalists, like Hindu and Swadesh Mitran, started by G. Subramania Iyer, uh, Kesari and Maharatta, started by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bengali, which is started by Surendranath Banerjee. Sisir Kumar Ghosh started Amrit Bazar Patrika in Bengali, and of course, it became a very prominent newspaper also in English language. Gopal Krishna Gokhale started Sudharak in again Maharashtra. So these are the only kind of sample of the newspapers which started, but there were hundreds of newspapers started in vernacular language in a very early phase, and in Urdu, in Arabic, for an example, or even Persian. The newspapers which early started, they started actually raising the voice of the freedom, raising the voice of the nationalism, raising voice for unifying India, and also trying to talk about the social issues, social problems, and also a resolution of those problems, and rallying behind the Indian National Congress. These newspapers supported the very cause and ultimately became a political educator for the masses. The newspapers, the press had influence beyond literate subscribers, which was reaching to the remote villages where even the very photograph, the paintings and caricatures, in fact, educated masses about their issues and their problems, and then started the small library movements around newspapers, where the sarais and the dhabas and the chai khanas, they became the center where people started actually gathering to read newspaper, or literate people reading newspaper for them, so that they will have certain connections and bond with the movement. People had a craving to be part of the movement, and newspapers only became a form of political participation and education. On a screen, you can see, the newspaper called, Maharatta. Of course, it's a late, print of the Maharatta, but Maharatta, you can see it can be also called as Maratha. But as the original spelling of the Maratha, which is visible on the screen, which was a kind of newspaper which in a way propagated the very idea of freedom struggle, published from Pune. This newspaper was circulated widely in the English educated masses, but also, of course, it was published in the Marathi as well. This is again Kesari Marathi newspaper, as I said. the Kesari, uh, which was published from again Pune. This is the 1881, the very first print of Kesari, if you can see on the screen, and then Amrit Bazar Patrika. Of course, this is again late 1940s issue of the Amrit Bazar Patrika, but one can have a glimpse of this to see that how even modern newspapers are filled with all sort of commercialization of news industry, but the purpose of these newspapers were definitely not commercialization, rather being a political tool and being part of the freedom struggle so that masses will be aware about their problems and issues. So what were the challenges faced by journalists? Uh, as I said that, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, who was the early protester in 1824, protested against, uh, press restrictions. Press restriction was definitely one issue, but also the very low financing. Uh, you know, of course, people had to kind of contribute. People had to ask for generous fund from the business houses. So it was rather people were you know sort of, in fact, selling their houses and lands, to zamindars to basically fund, so that the print of the newspaper should not stop. So it was rather early journalistic sacrifice where newspapers were seen as a very moral service, or social service or public service to the cause of the nation. The greater cause is freedom, and hence people sort of contributed generously their own money, by financing the publication of the newspaper. There was legal constraints. Section 124A of the Indian Penal Code, posed that challenges. Uh, Journalists, in fact, adopted several kind of strategies, tactics to avoid any kind of legal repercussion, and and in fact they became directly part of the freedom struggle. The press freedom, defended, with a very enthusiasm, the nationalist movement. Now, moving ahead, we have had definitely it as a precursor of the Indian National Congress's establishment, and also early organizations, who were in a way against Vernacular Press Act, and we will be seeing, that particular case of Bal Gangadhar Tilak's trial, to understand the very draconian laws which were kind of against any kind of press freedom. So now, in the background of the Vernacular Press Act, if we see, the newspapers were very critical of Lord Lytton's administration, especially Lord Lytton failed miserably during the famine of 1876-77. Now, newspaper wrote it that how Lytton was very lackadaisical in solving the issues during the famine, and and government actually wanted to curb any kind of writing and popularization of Lytton's failure. So government came up with this Vernacular Press Act, and it started targeting Indian language newspapers, which were not more than even 15, 20-year old newspapers. I mean, starting from 1867 or 1860s, these newspapers started kind of writing their own languages, but within the establishment of these newspapers in 15, 20 years, this act, and in a way, the objective of this act was confiscation of printing press, paper, and materials for publishing, seditious materials. So this very early sedition, started through Vernacular Press Act of 1878, and ultimately, uh, nationalist leaders, they started opposing, this act. The very first major uh, public protest was against the Vernacular Press Act in Calcutta. You know, and for 3 years, continuous kind of opposition through public and press campaigns. You know, within the newspapers, articles on Vernacular Press Act, and also various public bodies and also Indian civil servants. They started writing and opposing the government's policy, which pressurized so much so that government repealed this draconian law, which was against press freedom, by Lord Ripon, due to widespread protests. Now, moving ahead, if we see, uh, how and what were the journalistic tactics and clever strategies, that journalists employed to highlight, the events and also writing the, problems and issues of the movement. Now, Amrit Bazar Patrika, one of the newspaper, as I said, it responded, the very, very very important kind of issue, where in Amrit Bazar Patrika, it basically is converted from the uh, Bengali language to an English language newspaper overnight. It was established as a Bengali newspaper, but it actually started publishing as an English newspaper. And also, you know, in 1905, there's a incident which actually exposed Lord Curzon's comments on truth, using humor and satire. So human wit, cartoons, satire, all these things, was employed, uh, to showcase the suffering and subjugation. Surendranath Banerjee's imprisonment, if we talk about in 1883, where Banerjee, stood, where the criticism of Justice Norris's action regarding a family idol, there was this contempt of court where Banerjee was, convicted, where and also sentenced to 2 months imprisonment, where there was this public reaction, and also uh, the public reaction was very spontaneous protest, which was and hartals and demonstration in various cities, and ultimately newspapers were utilized for public mobilization, where there was uh, overview, I mean, of this public mobilization. If you see, There was a wide-scale demonstration where this demonstration basically spread across Calcutta in Surendranath Banerjee's imprisonment and other cities. There was first open air meetings. Calcutta witnessed large open air gatherings for the first time, and this in a way paved the path where journalists showed their bravery, without having any kind of fear that they will be caught by the army, of British Raj, and the police will take them to a prison cell, which even they that what we call it, Kalapani, where for these crimes. So people, of course, journalists especially, they were not scared of, and in fact, they mobilized people through writings, and people responded to those writings. Yeah. So let us also see, the Bal Gangadhar Tilak's especially brief life journey to understand, his the struggle, and especially he was the freedom of the press champion. Remember the very very slogan of the self rule, that what is called Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it, is is an idea of 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 a very important leader. So born in 1856, Tilak devoted his life to the service of India. His Kesari and Maharatna was established by you know and in fact it was established, newspapers to spread discontent against British rule. And especially, if you see the style and impact of the writings of Bal Gangadhar Tilak in Kesari and Maharatna, Tilak was very fiery and courageous journalist. And he wrote, with simple and direct, readable style. So, if we see the journey, I mean, of course, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, is part of a extremist school of thought within the Indian National Congress, but he is regarded as one of the very important actor in the initial phase of Indian National Congress. Now, what were the Tilak's initiatives for nationalism, uh, which is again, has been critiqued and in fact written by many people that the very initial phase of Indian National Congress were dominated by the radical forces who brought religion into the politics, and Tilak in a way started using that mode of politics where the festivals were used as is in a way mobilizing tool. uh, Ganapati festival, or Shivaji festival, were used to propagate nationalist ideas. Starting from Maharashtra, Tilak in fact advocated boycott of foreign clothes and initiated a no tax campaign. Uh, Also, Tilak emphasized on the suffering of the peasants, and in fact, from the platform of the Indian National Congress only, critiqued the Congress for neglecting peasants, which Tilak emphasized that peasants have a very great role in the national movement. There was a plague outbreak in Pune in 1897, and Tilak supported the government, but also criticized harsh measures. There was popular resentment against officials, who were involved into controlling the plague, and ultimately, you know, I mean, British-owned press basically uh, portrayed the murder of the British official Rand, as a conspiracy by Tilak, because people's resentment were basically highlighted by Tilak, and ultimately uh, that got resorted to the murder of Rand, a British officer, and ultimately, Tilak was charged with the uh, conspiracy, and also sedition, especially according to IPC section 124A. uh, Tilak was arrested in 1998, and the accusation was that government accused Tilak of incitement and propagating anti-British views. Now, uh, Tilak came in his defense and denied charges, emphasizing the legal limits of anti-colonial activities. Moving ahead, if we see, uh, that this 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 particular act by the government, and also the very act of sedition, Section 124A, uh, that that in fact was a very draconian, and people actually came on the street. There was a nationwide demonstration, in favor of Tilak, and also highlighting Tilak's imprisonment. uh, and also, especially journalists, they came in the solidarity. Many newspapers published uh, special supplements hailing Tilak as a martyr. In fact, you know, Tilak was given a title of Lokmanya overnight. Uh, Tilak became an all India popular leader, and also symbol of self-sacrifice. And ultimately, because of the protests, legal amendments were introduced. Amendment to Section 124A. Government added Section 153A by criminalizing attempts to bring contempt to the government. Again, there's a countrywide national protest against the attack on civil liberties and freedom of press. And in fact, this elevated uh, Tilak to the status of hero and a respected leader. Now, because there was repression and press control, 1908, if you see, uh, the background of this particular Swadeshi and boycott movement, led to a wave of repression in 1908. Uh, there's rise of individual terrorism, as I'll be talking about extremist phase later on. Uh, People were frustrated, and that led to bomb attacks, and newspapers became a major target. Uh, in fact, the very rise of individual terrorism is basically a coinage which has been given by the British, uh, you know, officials. So, the government's response against the rise of this extremist activities, were not something very positive. Instead, they enacted new laws, and they launched prosecutions, and almost completely suppressed the press. Now, Tilak has been writing, and Tilak wrote it on the violence and sedition, and Tilak wrote articles condemning violence, but held the government responsible for suppressing dissent. Uh, you know, I mean, basically, Tilak asserted that violence became inevitable in an atmosphere of repression, and especially on 24 June 1908, Tilak was arrested again and tried for sedition for publishing these articles. This is a picture of Tilak's trial on the screen, if you can see, where Tilak standing denying all the charges, and the officials who are sitting to adjudicate his case. Uh, so again, 1908 trial, if you see, Tilak pleaded not guilty, posed questions about press liberty, and behaved with exemplary courage. Jury returned a guilty verdict, and Tilak was sentenced to 6 years transportation. There's a massive public outcry with newspapers defending press freedom following Tilak's example. The protests, in fact, included market closure, that was like bazaar band, or the call for closure, and also strikes in response to Tilak's imprisonment. And this battle between workers and police resulted in many casualties. There's violence on the street. Police officers were targeted, and in the honor of Tilak's trial, Gandhi, when he was trialed, he in fact recalled Tilak's trial in his own sedition trial in 1922, considering in fact it an honor that if Tilak was trial, then who am I? So Gandhi in fact highlighted that the similar sedition charges under section 124A has been slapped on him for publishing articles in Young India. And Gandhi, in fact, pleaded guilty and expressed pride in being associated with Tilak's name. In fact, contrast between Tilak's trial in 1908 and Gandhi's trial in 1922 showcases the progress of the national movement. Uh, so, uh, I mean, with the highlight of the Tilak's trial, what I have given you an understanding that it was a momentous contribution made by uh, Tilak, and Tilak changed the entire dynamic of journalism in India, particularly of that time, and also in a way inspired generations of leaders from Gandhi to Jinnah, to many others, and in fact, Tilak, uh, left the legacy in the leadership of Gandhi, and he became a very important figure in the transformation of political resistance and journalistic activism. So I'll stop here uh, with this lecture, and tomorrow, or maybe in the next lecture, we will try to understand again Indian National Congress's, uh, you know, other, uh, activities and other kind of informations, in relation to the Indian National Congress in the very initial years, and then later on we'll move to the two opposing uh, groups within the Indian National Congress's fold, called the moderates and the extremists. Thank you so much.